Hey everyone, today is another day of cooking with Gar, quarantine cooking of course. Today I thought I'd make something that is really easy to make for your families, and you should have all of this in your pantry. This is something that was a casserole that I've made for probably like the last 20 years, and everybody loves it. I've had people say, oh my gosh, can you send me that recipe? And it's so simple. It's called Sonora Chicken, and basically the ingredients are chicken. I'm using a canned chicken today because I wanted to use everything out of my pantry, which would have been easier than actually baking a chicken, but you can actually bake a chicken. You're gonna need garlic powder, cumin, you're gonna need cream of mushroom soup, and I'm using a cream of broccoli, a cream of cauliflower soup, excuse me, but you can actually use cream of chicken. And I'm trying to make this a little bit different by adding a vegetable cream soup. You're gonna need a can of chili, no beans, very important. You're gonna need milk, and we get our milk delivered by a milkman actually here in Maine, so it's kind of cool. It's like when I was a kid. And we're gonna need a half a cup of milk, and it's pretty easy. You're gonna need cheese, and you're gonna need tortillas. Okay. Also part of the recipe, you're gonna chop up one onion. I did a half of an onion because my onions are pretty large. You're gonna have your tortillas, and you're gonna have your cheese. Now the recipe is really easy to put together, super easy. I would actually say this is one that you should put in your repertoire when we all go back to work and you need to get the family fed. Super easy way to make this meal. So the first thing the recipe calls for is to take your chicken and to put it at the bottom of the pan. Just go ahead and put the chicken at the bottom of the pan. I'm gonna grab a stick over here, and you just kind of break it up, put it in the bottom of the pan. This is a 9 by 13 casserole dish.
Go.
All right, so first of all, I get my large glass mixing bowl, and it asks you to mix all the ingredients that you're gonna need. So you're gonna go ahead and empty out the chili into the bowl. And again, this is a chili with no beans in it. I think it makes it a little bit easier than working with the ones with beans. Here's 1 can of cream of mushroom soup. And cream of mushroom soup is one of those things that we all use in lots of recipes. We're just gonna go ahead and add it to this mixture here. Get it all in there as best possible. Now the recipe originally calls for another can of cream of chicken soup, but I'm gonna try something new today. I'm gonna do cream of cauliflower soup, which will be interesting because we all try to eat a little bit better with keto and all that sort of stuff going on. So it might change the flavor a little bit, but I think with the chili and the picante sauce, it'll probably cover it up pretty nicely. And everybody nowadays eats cauliflower like mashed potatoes and, you know, cauliflower that are grilled or roasted in the oven. All that stuff is now done with cauliflower. I used to just remember cauliflower as looking like a cauliflower, but it doesn't look like a cauliflower anymore. Anyway, I have a half a teaspoon of garlic powder. And I get my cumin, I get a half a teaspoon of cumin. I take my top off here to get to the cumin. And level it off, pour it in. Go there. Then I get half a cup of milk. And I have a bowl here that has a measuring line right in the middle. So there's my half a cup of milk. Put the cap back on the milk. And then we're going to add 1 jar of picante sauce. You can get this at the store. Let's see if I can open this. There we go. So you're going to get your whole jar of picante sauce and put it in here. And some of you might be thinking like, oh, that doesn't look very good. But believe me, when you taste it, you'll be like, this is amazing. So now the job is just to stir everything up. Tell me when to go again.
You're going.
All right, so I haven't forgotten my onions. I just haven't added them yet. I usually add them at the very last. And so I walk over here with my onions. I get my onions here, put them into the bowl. This is, the cumin provides a really nice flavor from Mexico. Cumin is a very popular spice in Mexico. So we got this all mixed up in here. And then what you start to do is once this is done, you take your tortillas. So you just get regular corn tortillas. And what you can do, and it actually says this in the recipe, is just to tear them and kind of put them throughout on top of the chicken to start. You're gonna layer like you would layer a lasagna. So you're kind of layering this in here, you're tearing it. I like the idea that it's torn. It kind of reminds me of a rustic corn chip when it's done. So I'm tearing all this here. This is my first layer. And then I get my concoction. We'll call it a concoction. Isn't that a funny word that we learned in the 50s and 60s? I guess some people use that word still. So many words that I like that they don't use anymore, but that's one word I like, concoction. So I have the mixture here that I put into the pan. And then the next area I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab my cheese. And again, I'm just doing a layering of the different foods that go in here, or the different components. And now I add cheese. I'll move my spoon out of the way in just a second because I'm just going to keep using it here. Grab a little bit more tortillas. Again, just tearing, throwing them in here. Now I preheated my oven at 350. That's really important because this will cook pretty quickly. It takes about 35 minutes to cook. Tell me when
You're on.
So I'm doing my next layer. I'm pouring my concoction in here, my Sonora sauce. That's what we'll call it. We'll call it the Sonora sauce. And getting it in here. I made this for Sam's school when we lived in Oakland. I used to cook for the teachers with Miss Velda. We called her Velda, Miss Velda. And I used to bring this casserole in, and the teachers were crazy about it. One teacher said, "I have to have that recipe." I said, "Sure, here it is, pretty easy." And she was surprised how easy it was. I think it became one of her standard recipes. Try to get as much of this as possible during this COVID time. We don't want to keep going back to the grocery store, so utilize what's in your pantry as much as possible. It's given us a chance to kind of go through our pantry and actually clean it out and see what we have in there. So it's been a real nice experience for us in that regard. So going ahead and putting a little bit more chips in here. All of this will melt together and cook together. I'm going to add a little bit more here for the cheese. Make sure it melts correctly. All right, I'm gonna grab my towel here. All right, so this is what it looks like before you put it in the oven. Again, it's a layering of the tortillas, mixing your concoction together. Pretty simple. I mean, I don't think we only spent like 5 minutes. Now, I'm gonna put this in the oven, uncovered. And I've heated this oven to 350. And I'm putting it in the oven here. And I'm gonna say, Echo, put 30 minutes, or 35 minutes on the timer.
35 minutes, starting now.
Love that. It's the nicest thing about having that electronics in the house. I always like to clean up afterwards, get my stuff over here near the trash. Thank you for another day of cooking with Gar. When it's done, I'll pull it out and show you what the finished meal looks like, and Tom can have some for lunch and he'll give you his review. Thank you.